this, my sword, I swear, to shield the Firebird's flame forevermore.
Welcome to MojoPlays, and today we're finding the will to fight as we battle the 10 hardest bosses in Final Fantasy XVI. For this list, we'll be looking at the bosses that nearly put Clive in need of a phoenix down as he fights his way through Valisthea. There will be massive story spoilers ahead, so you've been warned. What boss had you on the ropes during your playthrough? Let us know down in the comments. Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. The White Dragon. Walking into a giant open area in a game is never a good sign, and as soon as the White Dragon swoops into view, you just know you're in for a bad time. At this point in the game, Clive and Jill have already faced down the Akashic Dragon, but that winged monstrosity is a pushover compared to its cousin. Routinely taking flight to lay waste to everything in its path, the battle is just as much about defense and endurance as it is about unleashing your most damaging attacks to bring the dragon down. The White Dragon's ice attacks can be difficult to dodge and have incredible range, leaving Clive vulnerable for a quick follow-up with the dragon's tail swipes and body rolls. Infernal Eikon / Shadow.
Come, Ifrit. Show me who you truly are.
As if the gauntlet to reach the inner sanctum of Phoenix Gate wasn't daunting enough, Clive will need to face his inner demons both figuratively and literally. Taking on enemies twice his size might be nothing new for Clive, but Ifrit's ground pounds and arena-filling fire blasts can be insanely difficult to dodge, and given his size, Clive doesn't have many options besides swiping at his ankles for most of the fight. And we're just getting started. After defeating Ifrit, Clive's inner demons manifest into a shadow version of himself, complete with Clive's most powerful attacks, and then some. And even then, we're still not done, as Clive and his shadow call on their dominance to finish the fight. But thankfully, this one is mostly only QuickTime events, but the struggle to even reach this point is sure to leave most players' palms sweaty. Titan and Titan Lost. After spending most of the previous entry slashing at ankles, we turn to an Icon versus Icon battle in which Clive slashes at another Icon's ankles. To be fair though, Titan is enormous, but don't think that makes him any slower than Ifrit. His massive ground pounds will decimate Clive if he doesn't get clear in time. Ever the defiant dominant, Kupka refuses to let the battle end and instead completely loses himself in the sauce and absorbs a titanic amount of ether to become a literal mountain of a man, one capable of hurling enormous shards of earth and tendrils at Clive. Titan Lost has an enormous amount of health, and while large portions of the fight are QuickTime events, the speed at which they come at you can be overwhelming, coupled with the spectacle unraveling around you. Did we mention the part about having to fight Titan a second time while you're free-falling inside Titan Lost? Necrophobe.
It looks like somebody doesn't want us getting any closer.
I don't care what it wants.
Neither do I.
Another boss standing between Clive and Bahamut, the Necrophobe is a significant challenge at the end of an already daunting trial filled with wraiths and revenants. The Necrophobe has an arsenal of elemental attacks, and he's not shy about using all of them, and oftentimes will chain them together in rapid succession, leaving very little time for a counterattack. This fight will be one of many that pose a true challenge for the players' dodge abilities, and can quickly deplete your stash of potions if overly aggressive. Even bringing the Necrophobe to stagger is a challenge that will only increase his frequency and speed of attacks, as well as charging up death, which will need to be halted should you want to avoid starting the entire battle over from scratch.
These beasts, they're getting stronger.
Bahamut. In terms of spectacle, it doesn't get much more spectacular than this. Starting the fight with arguably one of Clive's most badass moments in the entire game, players will be switching back and forth between Ifrit and Phoenix for most of the fight, attempting to simply survive Bahamut's onslaught. You're going to be making the most out of the dodge trigger with this one. Bahamut is insanely powerful, and his attacks are fast and furious, making simply staying one step ahead of them a challenge in itself. Even the combined powers of Clive and Joshua with Ifrit risen is only narrowly enough to bring the mighty Bahamut back down to earth, as the gameplay shifts from a brawler to a bullet hell shooter and back again, never once letting up. Sleipnir.
I am Sleipnir of House Harvard, and you will yield!
Final Fantasy XVI takes the concept of over-the-top boss fights to all new levels, so it's only appropriate that one of the most challenging is a simple 1v1 battle between two, mostly human opponents. Sleipnir's teleportation ability can make him hard to track, but even without it, his speed is unmatched by any other opponent Clive has faced up to this point. Halfway through the fight, Sleipnir will offer Clive an even greater challenge and introduce a new weapon, Gungunir, utilizing many of the same room-clearing attacks as Barnabas. Many of these new attacks, in particular Dead Man's Beer, will coat the arena in a near-endless stream of elemental flames and leave Clive no choice but to remain on the run until the attack is over.
The vessel is strong. My liege.
Behemoth King. As the game progresses, Clive will be offered the chance to hunt down legendary beasts throughout Valisthea, and these encounters can prove to be even more challenging than the many main bosses themselves. The Behemoth King is one such hunt, and even though Clive and company have dealt with the challenging behemoth fight already by this point, the King is a step above. Seriously, nothing this big should be this fast. The King has a wealth of elemental attacks he'll often chain together with physical attacks like his deadly charge and swipe attacks. His incredible defense and health bar means even getting him to stagger can be an exercise in frustration. And did we mention the meteors? There are so many meteors.
No match for you, eh, Toggle?
Barnabas / Odin.
Show us the strength of your will. It's not the strength of my will that should worry you, but the weakness of yours.
Odin and his dominant Barnabas are built up throughout the game as the stuff of legend, and standing face to face with the King, it's easy to see where the tales began. While most of the fight is like the battle against Sleipnir, Barnabas' attacks are even faster and fiercer. Most of the clash is between Clive and the King, with Odin stepping in on occasion for some arena-sweeping sword slices. Monologuing throughout, as well as unleashing one of the creepiest laughs this side of Kefka, Barnabas will hold nothing back, charging his darkness spell all while continuing his assault with a flurry of slashes like he's channeling his inner Virgil. Just because the Mad King wishes to fulfill his master's destiny doesn't mean he's going to make it easy. Varog. As we mentioned, Clive has battled his share of dragons, but had he encountered Svarog early on instead of the Akashic Dragon or even the White Dragon, Ultima might not have had any trouble wiping out all of humanity. Another S-rank notorious mark, Svarog lives up to the title with some of not only the most powerful attacks in the game, but also the most difficult to avoid. He'll routinely attack from the air, as well as using arena-filling elemental attacks. He also has the nasty habit of interrupting Clive's attacks with his own, meaning the player needs to constantly be aware of Svarog's movements even in the middle of an assault. At level 50, Svarog is by far one of the most difficult encounters in the game, and more than just Valisthea will be breathing a sigh of relief once this dragon is slain.
Let's try.
Ultima.
Unexpected. How is it that your will yet endures?
Because it's not so easily broken.
Appropriately, the final boss is the most difficult boss. This one is a true gauntlet, as Ultima has multiple forms as well as numerous attacks that can result in instant death if not avoided, sending you back to the start of one of the longest, but also most rewarding boss fights in the entire game. Ultima will use every elemental attack in the realm as well as all the same Eikon abilities as Clive. While at least two of the phases of the fight are mostly cinematic clashes, the bouts in between are relentless as Ultima unleashes his fury against Clive, growing stronger and more aggressive with each new form. The final fight comes down to a battle of wills, and thankfully, ours is stronger. Say the line, Clive.
The only fantasy here is yours. And we shall be its final witness.
Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips from MojoPlays, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.